My name is Ethan Walker, and this happened during the winter of 2019 in a small town in northern Minnesota. I've never told this story publicly before, but I still think about it every winter night when the snow gets heavy and the streets go quiet. I lived in a town so small that everyone knew what car you drove, what time you left for work, and whether your porch light was usually on or off. We didn't even have traffic lights, just stop signs and trust. Winters there weren't just cold, they were isolating. That December, temperatures dropped fast. Schools shut down early, businesses closed before sunset, and people stayed indoors. Snowbanks lined the streets like walls, swallowing sound. At night, it felt like the whole town stopped breathing. That's when it happened. It was a Tuesday night, around 7:40 p.m. The sky was pitch black, no moon, no stars, just thick clouds holding more snow. I remember because I had just finished dinner and was sitting on my couch, scrolling through my phone, half watching some crime show I didn't really care about. Outside my living room window, the street was empty. No cars, no people, no sound. I liked that quiet at first. It felt peaceful, like the world had pressed pause. Then my doorbell rang. I froze. Nobody rang doorbells that late in winter, ever. I muted the TV and sat still, listening. Silence again. I checked my phone. No messages, no missed calls. I stood up slowly and walked toward the front door, my socks sliding slightly on the hardwood floor. I looked through the peephole. Nothing. Just my porch light illuminating falling snow, thick flakes drifting sideways in the wind. I told myself it was probably a neighbor needing help, maybe a car stuck in the snow. That happens sometimes. I unlocked the door and opened it a few inches. Cold air rushed in. "Hello?" I called out. No response. I stepped onto the porch, scanning left and right. My breath came out in thick clouds. That's when I noticed footprints, fresh ones. They came from the sidewalk, straight to my door, but there were no footprints leaving. My stomach tightened. I quickly stepped back inside and locked the door. I stood there, staring at the wood grain of the door, listening. Nothing. I tried to laugh it off. Maybe someone rang the wrong house and ran back. Maybe the snow covered their tracks. Still, I didn't turn the TV back on. Something about the silence felt wrong. About 20 minutes later, my phone rang. I nearly dropped it. Unknown number. I answered. "Hello?" Static. I pulled the phone away from my ear, checked the screen, then brought it back. "Hello?" Breathing. Slow. Heavy. My chest tightened. "Who is this?" I asked, trying to sound calm. The breathing stopped. Then a voice, low, quiet, almost whispering. "You shouldn't have opened the door." My heart slammed. "What?" I said. "Who are you?" The line went dead. I stood there shaking, staring at my phone like it might explode. I told myself it was a prank, some bored teenager, a wrong number, anything but what my instincts were screaming. Still, I grabbed my keys and checked every lock in the house. Front door, back door, windows. Everything was locked. I went back to the living room and sat down, my eyes glued to the window. That's when I saw movement. Across the street, near the old Miller house, empty since the owners moved out, I saw a figure standing under the streetlight, just standing there, not moving. The streetlight flickered, and for a moment, the figure disappeared, then reappeared closer. My throat went dry. The figure was wearing a dark coat, hood pulled up. I couldn't see the face, but I knew they were facing my house, watching. Then, slowly, they raised an arm and waved. My body went cold. I stood up and backed away from the window. "Nope," I whispered to myself. I grabbed my phone and called the local police station. It rang and rang. No answer. Of course, small town. Night shift probably thin. I tried again. Nothing. Then I heard it. Knocking. Not loud. Not frantic. Slow. Deliberate. From my back door. Every muscle in my body locked up. The back door led straight into the kitchen. No porch light. No visibility. The knocking continued. I backed into the hallway, my heart pounding so loud I was sure whoever was outside could hear it. "Go away!" I shouted. The knocking stopped. Silence. Then footsteps. Slow steps, circling the house. I stood there, barely breathing, listening as the footsteps moved from the back to the side, toward the front. Then they stopped, right outside my living room window. I didn't move. I didn't blink. A shadow passed across the curtains, then a voice, right outside the glass, soft, calm. "I can see you breathing." My lungs burned as I tried to stay silent. "I know you're alone," the voice continued. "Everyone is tonight." The street light flickered again. I heard something touch the window. A fingernail. Scraping. I clenched my fists, every instinct screaming to run, but I had nowhere to go. Then, suddenly, a scream. Not close. Distant. Coming from somewhere down the street. The scratching stopped. Footsteps ran away, fast, slipping on ice. I collapsed onto the floor, gasping for air. Outside, the street was quiet again. Too quiet. And that's when I realized something that still chills me to this day. The scream didn't sound scared. It sounded like someone calling for help, and no one answering. I don't remember how long I stayed on the floor. Seconds, maybe minutes. All I know is my lungs burned and my hands were shaking so badly I couldn't even hold my phone properly. The house was silent again. No knocking, no footsteps, no voice. Just the low hum of the heater and the wind dragging snow across the siding. I forced myself up and locked myself in the bedroom, pushing my dresser slightly against the door. It wasn't smart. It wasn't strong, but it made me feel less exposed. I sat on the edge of the bed, phone clutched in both hands, screen lighting up my face in the dark. No signal. Of course. That's when I heard it. My doorbell. Again. I flinched so hard my phone slipped from my hands and hit the carpet. "No," I whispered. "No, no, no." The doorbell rang again. Then a pause. Then knocking. Not polite anymore. Hard. Angry. "Ethan," a voice called. My blood ran cold. They knew my name. "Ethan, I just want to talk." The voice sounded normal now, almost friendly, almost familiar. I didn't answer. The knocking stopped. Silence. then footsteps moving away from the front door toward the side of the house. I crawled toward the bedroom window and pulled the curtain back just enough to see outside. The street light was on again, and under it, there were two figures now, both wearing dark coats, both standing completely still. One of them slowly tilted their head, like they were listening. The other raised the phone to their ear. At that exact moment, my phone rang. I slapped my hand over my mouth to stop myself from screaming. Unknown number again. I answered without speaking, breathing. But this time, it wasn't just one person. There were multiple breaths, overlapping, too close. Then the same calm voice spoke. "We can hear you inside." My legs went weak. "You moved your dresser," the voice continued. "That won't help." A sudden bang shook the side of the house. Something hit the wall hard. I screamed. I couldn't help it. The voices on the phone laughed. Not loud, not manic, controlled, satisfied. The call ended. I scrambled up, heart pounding, and ran for the bathroom. No windows. I locked the door and sat in the bathtub, pulling the shower curtain closed like it could somehow hide me. Then I heard glass shatter from the living room. Footsteps inside the house. Slow, heavy boots crunching on broken glass. My vision blurred with panic. I dialed 911 again, hands slipping on sweat. This time, it connected. 911, what's your emergency? I burst into tears. "There are people in my house," I whispered. Please send someone." The dispatcher started asking questions, but her voice suddenly dropped. "Sir, stay on the line. Officers are on their way." Then her tone changed, confused. "Sir, how many people are in your house?" "I don't know," I cried. "At least 2. There was a pause. "Sir, according to our system, your house is listed as unoccupied." "What?" I whispered. "That address has been marked vacant since last winter." My heart stopped. "That's not possible," I said. "I live here." Another pause. Then she said something that still haunts me. "Sir, are you sure you're calling from inside the house?" The bathroom door handle twitched. The dispatcher kept talking, but I wasn't listening anymore. A voice came from just outside the bathroom door, right on the other side of the wood. Soft, close. "We told you. You shouldn't have opened the door." The handle turned. The door creaked open an inch. I screamed. Everything went black. I woke up in a hospital. Bright lights, beeping machines. The police found me unconscious in my bathroom. No signs of forced entry, no broken glass, no footprints. The house was empty. They told me it was probably stress, hallucinations, a panic episode. I moved out 2 days later. The house still stands, empty. But here's the part no one can explain. A week after I left, the new owners called the police because someone kept ringing their doorbell at night and whispering a name that didn't belong to anyone living there. Mine. This isn't a legend. This isn't folklore. This is based on an actual small-town winter police report from the northern United States. One detail was never released to the public. My name is Daniel Brooks, and I used to work the night shift at a gas station off Highway 12, just outside a town so small most maps don't even label it. Population under 900. One diner, one school, one blinking traffic light that turned yellow after midnight. Winter there doesn't feel festive. It feels abandoned. Snow doesn't fall softly. It smothers everything. Sound, light, movement. By January, the town feels buried alive. That night started like every other. It was December 17th, around 11:40 p.m. The roads were empty. No cars, no headlights. Just snow blowing sideways under the streetlights. I was behind the counter scrolling my phone when the radio crackled. Unit 3, do a pass near Miller Road. The voice belonged to Sheriff Collins. Only 2 deputies covered night patrol, sometimes just 1. I replied without thinking. Copy that. I wasn't a cop, but in towns like ours, everyone listens to the scanner. At 12:06 a.m., the front door chimed. A man walked in. Tall, thin, wearing a dark winter coat zipped all the way to his chin. His hood was up, shadowing his face. He didn't look at me, didn't go to the aisles, just stood there, still. You all right? I asked. No response. I noticed something odd. Snow was melting on the floor beneath his boots, not dripping, pooling, like he'd been standing outside for a very long time. You need something, sir? Slowly, the man lifted his head. I still don't remember his face clearly, just his eyes, wide, unblinking, too reflective under the fluorescent lights. Is the road open? He asked. His voice was calm, but wrong, like it came from a throat that hadn't spoken in a while. Highway? I said. Yeah, should be. He nodded once, then asked, Anyone else here tonight? My stomach tightened. Just me. He stared at me for a second too long, then smiled. Not with relief, with interest. The radio crackled again. Unit 3, Miller Road is blocked, tree down, no vehicle tracks. The man's smile faded. He turned toward the door, paused, then said quietly, That's not what I meant. Before I could respond, he walked out. The door chimed again. I watched through the window as he stepped into the snow and stopped, just outside the light, standing there, facing the store, not moving. I locked the door. I don't know why, I just did. 10 minutes passed, then 15. He never left. At 12:32 a.m., the phone rang. I answered with a shaky, Hello? Breathing, slow, measured. Then the same voice. You said it was just you. My blood turned cold. How did you get this number? I whispered. You shouldn't lie, he replied calmly. It confuses things. I looked at the front door. He was gone. The snow outside was untouched. No footprints. None. I can see the back lights, the voice continued. You left them on. My chest tightened. The back lights faced the storage alley. No windows. No cameras. "You're behind the building?" I asked. Silence. Then, the back door handle rattled. I dropped the phone. My radio exploded with static. "Dispatch, any units near? Can't raise. Something's wrong." The store lights flickered. Once. Twice. Then steadied. The phone on the counter lit up. Incoming call. Unknown number. I didn't answer. The back door slammed hard. Then again. A voice echoed through the metal. Muffled. Close. "Daniel, open the door." I froze. I never told him my name. The radio went silent. The phone stopped ringing. Everything did. No wind. No hum. No sound at all. Then the back door stopped shaking. Footsteps. Inside the store. Slow. Measured. Crunching on snow that shouldn't have been there. I ducked behind the counter as the footsteps grew closer. A shadow stretched across the floor. Stopped. Right in front of me. The voice whispered, "You're not the first one to stay late." The first 911 call came in at 12:41 a.m. It wasn't mine. It came from a passing snowplow driver on Highway 12 who reported all the lights on at the gas station, doors locked, and someone banging from inside. Dispatch logged it as a possible break-in. Deputy Aaron Collins arrived 9 minutes later. His body cam footage is still classified, but portions were later leaked during a civil records request.
"Dispatch, I'm on scene,"
Collins says. Station's lit up, no vehicles outside. He tries the front door. Locked. He knocks. No answer. "Daniel," he calls out. Nothing. He circles the building. That's when his flashlight catches something in the snow behind the station. Footprints. Only one set. Leading from the tree line, stopping at the back door. None leading away. "Dispatch," Collins mutters. "These tracks don't make sense." He reaches for the radio. Static. Not interference. Dead air. He approaches the back door. The metal is bent inward, from the outside. Hard. He draws his weapon. "Sheriff's office," he shouts. "If anyone's inside, make yourself known." That's when the door creaks open by itself. The body cam light spills into the storage room. Snow is everywhere. On the floor, on the shelves, melting slowly. But the room has no broken windows, no open vents, no reason snow should be inside. "Daniel?" Collins whispers. He steps in. The temperature on his dash cam later shows the room was 9 degrees colder than outside. He follows a trail of wet footprints, bare feet, human. They lead toward the main store, then stop, right in the middle of the aisle, as if whoever made them simply stood there and disappeared. The camera captures Collins breathing faster now. "You seeing this?" he murmurs, instinctively checking if the cam is still running. It is. The lights flicker. Once, twice, and then a voice speaks. Not behind him, not ahead, everywhere. "You told him he was alone." Collins spins, gun raised. "Show yourself!" Silence. Then a sound. The body cam mic picks it up clearly. Too clearly. The breathing is right next to the microphone. Collins backs up. "You're trespassing," he says, trying to keep control. "Come out now." A shape appears at the far end of the store. Tall, standing between aisles, not moving. The camera struggles to focus. The figure doesn't reflect light correctly, like it's absorbing it. "Daniel?" Collins asks. The figure tilts its head and answers, "I told him not to lie." The voice is layered. Daniel's voice, and something else beneath it, lower, older. The camera jolts violently. Collins stumbles backward. "Dispatch!" he shouts. The radio crackles back to life. "Copy. What's your status?" The lights cut out. The body cam switches to night vision. The figure is closer now. Too close. Its face fills the frame. And that's where most of the footage was redacted. But one still image leaked. Just one. The face looks almost human. Almost. Eyes too wide. Mouth stretched like it's remembering how to smile. The breathing grows louder. Wet. Heavy. Then the camera tilts sharply toward the floor. A loud impact. The feed cuts. Backup units arrived 4 minutes later. They found Deputy Collins outside, barefoot, kneeling in the snow, unarmed, crying. The gas station was empty. No sign of me. No blood. No struggle. Just my phone on the counter, unlocked, open to a voicemail draft, unsent. It contained only 6 words. "It knows when you're alone." The official report ruled my disappearance a voluntary walk-off, likely due to stress. Deputy Collins was placed on administrative leave. He resigned 3 weeks later, moved out of state, refused all interviews. But during a private therapy session, later subpoenaed, he said one final thing about that night, something that never made it into the case file. He said, whatever was in that station wasn't hunting. It was checking. Like it was making sure the town was still empty enough. The gas station shut down the next spring. No buyer, no demolition. The building still stands. Lights sometimes turn on at night. People driving Highway 12 report seeing a figure inside, standing still, waiting. And every winter, without fail, the snow behind the building shows one set of footprints, coming from the woods, stopping at the door, never leaving.